everyone, it's Allison Cardy of CardyCareerCoaching.com, and this is supplemental training number 2 in the Step-by-Step Career Change e-course. Today's material is called Connecting to Your Core Career Themes. And it is a super important topic because when you're trying to make a career change, and oftentimes when people get stuck in the process of making a career change, it's because that end goal of what they're looking for is like foggy and vague and they're not very connected to it. So it's really hard to know what steps to take and what direction to go in if you don't have that clear end goal or vision firmly in your mind. So today we're going to talk about how do you figure out what you want from your career change, and I'm going to break it down for you in more detail, which I know is going to be incredibly helpful for you. So I'm so excited to share this material with you. If you just happened upon this video and you do not know what I'm talking about regarding the step-by-step career change e-course, this is a free resource that I've put together as a parallel training e-course resource for my book Career Grease: How to Get Unstuck and Pivot Your Career. And the e-course is a 6-month program where every week you receive an email from me with a very doable, bite-sized action step to take to make progress on your career change. So it's a really amazing, wonderful resource, and I would encourage you, if you haven't already, to go to cardycareercoaching.com/e-course with no hyphen, and you can sign up and get started right away with that full program. So for today's material, what I'm going to do is explain how I work with clients in terms of identifying their core career themes, and this is also how my team works with our clients as well. So I'm going to walk you through what that full process looks like, and I'll give you some hints about how you can apply the process that we use on your own. I'll also tell you 3 areas that I want you to be extremely careful about and look out for as you're attempting that process. And then finally, I'll just note that we are here and always ready to support you and how it would look to get started with any of our career coaching programs. So, the first thing I'm going to do is just explain how do we take this mysterious what do I want to do with my life question and how do we get some concrete answers. The way I like to do this when I work with clients is I would have anybody that I'm working with or my team is working with fill out a series of about 15-ish open-ended questions. And these questions are all about your interests, your strengths, your dreams, things that you like or don't like, what you care about. And they are not a strict aptitude or personality test. And in fact, I really shy away from those materials. And I much prefer working with this open-ended format. The reason why I like it is because when you're working in a one-on-one relationship with somebody, having a totally individualized assessment is of much higher value than telling somebody to go take a test that's going to put them in boxes and say, oh, okay, this is kind of the limits of who you are. I find that those resources can be helpful, but they're really meant to be distributed among a large volume of people, and they're not super customizable. Whereas if we start from a very open-ended place and just have a conversation, there are so many things that I learn about clients and determine about what they're wanting that would really slip through the cracks of just a standardized test that we can find in the process of a customized conversation. So that's where I like to start. It's just a big series of open-ended questions. Assuming that you are signed up for the e-course, you will have received an email with those questions. So you already know what I'm talking about and you'll be able to get started on answering them. In the process of working with a client, the client will answer those questions, and then the first session that any of my coaches or I have with a client is going to be about those responses. 95% of the time. Sometimes there are exceptions, but generally that's exactly where we start. And what we do in that initial 90-minute session is basically we kindly pepper the client with questions. So we'll ask them, why did you like this? We'll try to take different experiences that the client has had in their life and we'll try to break them down into different components and then see amongst the experiences and the different components that we're finding, what are the commonalities? What keeps showing up even though it looks like different experiences or there are different forms? What are the themes that are running through this client's life history? It sounds a little bit intense, but it's actually a very fun and engaging conversation. So what we do is we just take all that information by asking the client questions, by following up, by being kindly curious about what they've been through, what they like, what they don't like, and we have a nice lengthy conversation. And then all throughout, my coaches and I take notes, and we really, really pay attention to times when a client might say, oh, I loved blah, 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 blah. Or we notice a super high energy around some of the things that they're talking about. Or we might notice when there are some things that are like deal breakers. We do not want this in the person's life in the future ever again. So we take all that information, and at the conclusion of the session or just shortly thereafter, we reflect back to the client. Here are the core career themes that you would most likely be satisfied with in whatever career step you take next. So there's usually a listing of about 5 to 10 elements, and they can range from the day-to-day activities, the values, the environments, the type of people that the client would most thrive around. And we just reflect those back to the client and say, okay, so imagine you were working in a job, and we kind of go through the elements, and we throw it back to the client. How would that be for you? And in almost every case, the client feels very heard and also a lot clearer about what it is that they're most wanting. Now you'll notice something. At this stage in the game, at that first conversation, we don't tell the client and we don't expect to have the client know exactly what they're going to be doing next in terms of job title or position. What we do find is are the general themes that we want to be present. And this is a very intentional decision on our part. We don't want to send the client straight away into job searching in most cases. What we want to do is identify those fundamental core elements that are going to be important to them in their next career step. And then from that place, we have kind of a foundation that we can explore from and try to identify, okay, what jobs match up best with these elements, while understanding we may have to compromise some of them along the way. It's the real world that we work in. But that gives us a kind of a constant. We might make a hypothesis about a job that could be a good fit, and after some exploration it turns out to not be such a good fit. And in that case, it's okay. We know, okay, we'll cross that off the list and we'll come back to the core themes and we'll try again. We'll try to make a new hypothesis. So as you are completing these questions, what you're going to be doing is first just give them a go. And I will note you don't have to answer the questions perfectly. You don't have to throw hours of your time into them. Just take your best guess. You can ask family and friends if they're supportive. Some of the questions ask things like, what did you like to do as a kid? So you can kind of ask around to get some feedback. Like I said, if the people in your life are supportive of that. And so you just answer the questions, and then you go through, and you can do this by yourself, but it's often really helpful to have somebody with you. Or you can go through with a friend, a family member, a coach, anybody who is supportive. You notice I keep mentioning that, but it's because we really want somebody who will be non-judgmental, who will be kind, who will be curious, who won't have an agenda when you're looking at this type of material. And you just want to kind of go back and look at what you wrote and kind of poke a little deeper and say, why did I like these things? You try to break each experience into smaller elements and think about, okay, it seems like I really like this experience of going off to cooking school because it was a very tactile and creative experience for me. And then you look, okay, what other experience, what were the components of it, and what did I really like or dislike about it? So you just dig a little deeper. You want to not just look at the surface of, oh, I played collegiate sports and therefore I should be an athlete, but to dig a little deeper. What did you like about sports? What were the elements of your day-to-day that you appreciated? Maybe routine, structure, team. All of these components go into any one experience that we have. So you'll just take some time, like I said, by yourself or with somebody who would be a good helper. You want to be careful about who you share this information to. And you just try to dig a little deeper, and you're going to aim to come out with, like I said, a couple of themes. And that's really our goal for this week, is just to identify what's most important to you. What would you ideally want to have? And we're going to do it from a place of possibility. Like I said, down the road we might have to make some compromises, deal with practicalities in the real world. But for this particular exercise, we just want to notice, what are you most wanting? What would be really satisfactory to you in terms of your next career step? So that is how you identify your core career themes. You just kind of poke around a little bit, break things down, and look for commonalities. Now as I mentioned earlier in the video, there are 3 things that I want you to be super careful about as you're trying this exercise. One thing I want to announce loud and clear is the idea that you're not going to get, like I was saying earlier, you're not going to get a perfect, like point of a pencil kind of answer from this exercise. We're going to get a general answer. And it may not be exactly right. It will be broadly correct, but it may not be like an exact fit. And the reason I want to tell you that is because I don't want you to spend too much time in the process of thinking about these questions and looking inside the questions for the answer. The questions and the process of identifying your themes is going to get you about 50 to 75% of the way to identifying that goal. So it's going to be a huge step forward, but it's not going to get you all the way. So I really want you to go into this exercise knowing, okay, I'm just looking for this one set of information. What would I most like? And know that through the process of the e-course, or if you decide to work with us, in the process of working together, we'll get that slightly foggy answer, and we'll get it to more clarity through the rest of the process. Too often, I think people get stuck in introspection and they take way too much time thinking about these questions, or processing them, looking for a 100% clear answer. You're not going to find a 100% clear answer just from your brain alone. We have to take the wonderful information that you gather from introspection and then work with it in the real world and in career exploration exercises to get it all the way to that 100. Well, you're never going to be 100% clear about career decisions, but to a higher degree of certainty. So I hope that makes sense. So the first thing though to watch out for is just throwing hours of time at this. Please don't do it. Please get through it, make a good solid effort at getting all the way through the questions and identifying your themes, and then shove these papers away and move forward with the next steps. Because if you spend all your time just thinking about your next career steps, you're going to start thinking yourself in circles and you're going to get really confused. So one stab at this, get it done, and then know that we're going to follow up with the next steps that are going to help you get even more clarity. That's the first thing. The second thing I want you to be really careful about is if you find that you try to answer these questions, or you try to dig in a little bit deeper and you just get stumped. So maybe you feel frustrated, maybe you feel irritated, maybe there's a lot of emotional charge around trying to answer these questions. Maybe you've tried this type of thing before and you haven't been successful with it. If you notice that, please just pause, put these questions to the side, and go through some of the remaining steps of the course. The metaphor that I often use for this is sometimes trying to identify your core career themes too soon can be unproductive. And the reason why is sort of like if you were sitting in a car trying to see which way to go, but your windshield was totally fogged up. And if you just tried and like you kept looking and tried to like see the road and see the direction, but you couldn't see anything and you were getting really frustrated, the reason is not because you don't have the capability of seeing those things at some point. The reason is because you're trying to see out of order. First, you have to clear and defog that windshield, and then the step of looking for your themes is going to be much easier. So it's just a matter of doing the right step at the right time. And if you notice a lot of charge around these questions, you feel frustrated, you get stumped, you try them and you can't get anywhere and you put them away, know that that's okay. And it may just be an issue of timing, that we're trying to have you do those questions before your windshield is clear, and know that the course is going to help you with clearing your windshield. And once we do that, then you can come back to the questions and then you're going to have a lot more success with them. So if you give them a go and they're not working, please don't worry about it. Skip this step, table it for now, and know that you can come back to it later, and also know that the course is going to help you take the right steps first to get you ready to answer those questions. Okay, the third thing that I want you to watch out for as you're doing these questions is these questions are really focused around fulfillment. They're very focused on what would you like to do, what activities do you enjoy, which is a great line of questioning. And I do think that the more that we can get of those things that you like into your career, the better. Like, why not? If you like it, that's great to have it in there. But these questions get trumped by one other element, and that element is your priorities. So know that these questions are geared toward identifying what would be most fulfilling to you, but there are 3 core career desires that happen that all of us are making choices about with our career. That's our financial health, that's our fulfillment, and that's our personal time and well-being. So if you get through these questions and you find, oh, okay, my dream would be to be an opera singer, and you also have a priority of, I have a 3-year-old kid and it's really important to me to bring home a certain amount of money right now to take care of my family, just know that your priority is going to trump the fulfillment. Does that make sense? So if you have a financial health priority, if you have a personal time and well-being priority that rises above your priority of fulfillment in your work, then this information is still going to be helpful. We can still try to incorporate as much of it as we can, but your career decisions are really going to be guided by your priorities. And we're going to make decisions about, maybe you take a job that is okay, that pays the bills, and you pursue opera on the side in more of a hobby capacity right now, because that's what's appropriate for what you value and what you care about most. I hope that was clear. It's just the idea that this information, we'll use it, but it isn't the end-all be-all. Sometimes there are other factors in life that really trump what you want to do in an ideal world with no constraints. And I really appreciate that, and my team and I are extremely focused on helping people to go for the big dreams and goals, but also to do so while honoring the practical realities of life, and to find the steps to get as much of both of those things as we can in any career solution that we come to. So those are 3 things that I want you to watch out for. Overthinking this, spending too much time. 2, if you get really frustrated, don't worry about it. Pause on this. Don't get yourself into a funk about it. Just let it go for now. We'll come back to it later. And 3, just be aware that if you have other priorities in life that trump your priority of fulfillment, then we're going to honor those priorities first and then work in as much fulfillment as we can while meeting those priorities. When my team and I work with a client, as I mentioned, we'll identify the core career themes. And one thing that I think is so helpful when you get to do this with somebody who's been trained and knows how to help you identify those themes is that my team and I are all coming to the table from a very kind, non-judgmental, supportive, and objective position. So we don't come into a conversation knowing you for 10 years and thinking, oh, this is what so-and-so should do. We come into the conversation from a very neutral place and really listen to you to draw what's most important to you. And we can be a great sounding board to talk this through in a very uncharged kind of way, and to really hear and make connections for what you're most wanting. So if you're interested in having kind of a personalized assessment, please know that we're available to work with you, and this process of identifying the core career themes is how all 3 of our best-in-class career coaching programs begin. So we always start, whether you're in the Just Get Me Pointed in the Right Direction, the Career Direction Clarity and Action Plan program, or the Phoenix Rising program, each of those programs will begin exactly how I described. You'll fill out the responses, will take about 90 minutes, and help you to make the connections, to put things into focus, to get that set of core career themes. And then from there, we take that information and we build on it through the remainder of the program. It can be a wonderful experience to have somebody by your side helping you with this, particularly if you've been struggling. And one little secret that my coaches and I always try to do is, as we're listening to you, we're really listening to what's unique about you, what's amazing about the person who we're talking to. And we really do a great job of reflecting that back to you. And I think too often when people are thinking about making a career change, it's often because something isn't working. And when something's not working, sometimes our sense of ourself can go down a little bit because our life isn't clicking quite the way that we like. So having somebody, a neutral party, kind of reflect back to you, okay, I know that you're feeling like this, but this is what I'm hearing, like this higher level, is who you really are, and this is what's amazing about you. It can be such a relief to have somebody help you to see that, because it's hard to see it sometimes on your own when you're in the middle of a not so great situation. So if we can help you, this particular coaching session is wonderful at getting you closer to identifying what you're wanting next in your career. It's a customized assessment. It's a really kind and friendly experience. So the way to get started with working with us in any of the 3 programs, they're all geared at making career changes and improving your life. They just vary in terms of intensity. You can always go to cardicareercoaching.com/coaching, and you can learn more about the programs and get started with us there. Or in the step-by-step career change e-course, that's a mouthful, at the bottom of every email there's a big button, and if you click the button, that will get you started to work with us as well. As always, please know that we are here. We love helping people through career changes. If you're feeling a little stumped or you just want to get through this faster and you could use somebody by your side to encourage you, to expertly guide you through the process beyond just doing the steps on your own, please, please, please reach out. We would love to help you and get you on your way. So good luck with this step. I will see you next time. Bye!